The dead floated everywhere, not bodies. Ships. Broken vessels drifted through the black void like bones scattered across a grave. This was the Kelos debris field, where two fleets had destroyed each other 40 years ago. Now it was just salvage. Good salvage, if you knew where to look. Danny Rowe knew where to look. He crouched in the cargo bay of the Driftclaw, his welding torch hissing blue flame against a chunk of hull plating. Sweat dripped down his face. The ship's cooling system worked fine for the alien crew, but humans ran hotter than most species. Danny had learned to live with discomfort. 3 months aboard, and he still felt like a guest who had stayed too long. Human, a clicking voice called from above. Borash wants the converter assembly from Section 7. Can you retrieve it? Danny looked up. Kira stood on the catwalk, her crystalline exoskeleton catching the cargo lights. She was Veloxi, an insectoid species with 4 arms and mandibles that never stopped moving when she spoke. As the ship's navigator and second-in-command, she gave most of the orders when Captain Borash was busy. Section 7 is unstable, Danny said. The support beams are half-melted. Then be careful. She walked away before he could argue. Danny sighed and grabbed his toolkit. This was how it worked. The dangerous jobs went to the new guy, the human. The one nobody would miss if something went wrong. He made his way through the salvage zone, climbing over twisted metal and ducking under collapsed corridors. The wrecked ship groaned around him, settling in ways that made his spine tighten. Dead ships were never truly still. They shifted. They creaked. Sometimes they crushed people who forgot to pay attention. Section 7 was worse than he expected. The floor tilted at a sharp angle, and half the ceiling had collapsed. Danny spotted the converter assembly wedged under a fallen support beam. Getting it out would require moving the beam first. He was positioning his cutting tool when he heard the skittering behind him. "You should not be here alone," a small voice said. Danny turned. Pip stood in the doorway, all 6 limbs folded nervously against her furry body. The Celathai was barely 3 feet tall, with huge dark eyes and ears that swiveled toward every sound. She was the ship's medic, and she worried about everything. "Kira sent me," Danny said. "Kira sends everyone into danger. It is her way." Pip crept closer, examining the unstable ceiling. "I will assist. 2 sets of hands are better." Danny wanted to refuse. Pip was fragile. If something fell, she would not survive. But arguing with her was pointless. The little medic was stubborn as stone. They worked together, Pip holding the cutting tool steady while Danny sliced through the beam. Metal screamed. Sparks flew. The whole section shuddered. "Almost there," Danny muttered. The beam split. The converter assembly came free, and then the ceiling collapsed. Danny moved without thinking. He shoved Pip backward, throwing her clear of the falling debris. Something massive struck him from above. He heard a crack that seemed to come from inside his own body. Then he was on the ground, pinned under broken metal, and his left leg was bent in a direction legs should never bend. Pip screamed. Danny looked down. White bone jutted through the torn fabric of his pants. Blood pooled beneath him. His shin had snapped completely, the fracture compound and ugly. The pain hit him like a wave, but he had felt worse. He had felt much worse. "Get help," Pip cried, already scrambling toward the door. "I will get help." "Wait," Danny said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Pip froze, staring at him with those huge, dark eyes. Danny reached down and grabbed his own leg. He could feel the bones grinding against each other, the wrong angle, the wet heat of blood. He took a breath, held it. Then he wrenched his leg straight. The crack echoed through the section. Bone slid against bone, then locked into place. Danny's vision went white for a moment, but he did not scream. He had trained himself not to scream. When he could see again, Pip was staring at him like he had grown a second head. "Human," she whispered. "What did you just do?" Before Danny could answer, his leg began to twitch. The pain faded, replaced by something else. Heat, pressure, movement beneath his skin. The metal shrapnel embedded in his flesh from the collapse started to glow, faint orange light pulsing under his torn skin. Danny watched it happen. He had hoped it would never happen again. Footsteps pounded toward them. Kira appeared in the doorway, mandibles clicking in rapid alarm. She saw the blood. She saw the bone. She saw the glow spreading through his leg like fire through dry wood. "What is this?" she demanded. Danny met her compound eyes. His leg was rebuilding itself, and the metal was becoming part of the reconstruction. He could feel it fusing with his bones, weaving into the marrow, becoming something stronger than either flesh or steel alone. Kira knelt beside him, close enough to see the impossible happening beneath his skin. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "You heal." Danny grimaced as another wave of heat rolled through him. "I upgrade." 6 hours felt like 6 years. Danny lay on the medical table while Pip ran scan after scan, her 6 hands moving in frantic patterns across her instruments. The glow in his leg had faded, but the heat remained. He could feel his bones knitting together, feel the metal fragments becoming part of him. "This is impossible," Pip muttered for the 20th time. Bone tissue does not absorb foreign material. It rejects it. It walls it off with infection and inflammation. It does not integrate it. "Mine does," Danny said quietly. The medical bay door slid open. Captain Borash ducked through, his massive gray frame filling the doorway. The Grell were built like tanks, with thick skin, small tusks, and eyes that never seemed to blink. Borash had hired Danny without asking many questions. Now those questions were coming. Kira followed behind him, her crystalline shell clicking softly with each step. "Show me," Borash said. Pip turned one of her screens toward the captain. The scan displayed Danny's leg in glowing blue lines, bone structure clearly visible. But where the fracture had been, something else showed now. Bright silver threads wove through the new bone, creating a lattice pattern that made the tibia look like reinforced armor. "Metal and bone," Borash said slowly, "fused together. His body is using the shrapnel as building material," Pip explained. "The metal has become part of his skeleton. I do not understand how, but it is happening. His leg will be stronger than before." Borash turned those unblinking eyes toward Danny. "Explain." Danny had known this moment would come. He had hoped it would take longer. Years, maybe. Enough time to prove himself useful, to become part of the crew, to make them hesitate before throwing him out the airlock. "Military experiments," he said. "During the Expansion War, the Terran Colonial Authority wanted soldiers who could not die. They injected us with nanites, microscopic machines that live in our blood and bones." Silence filled the medical bay. "Us," Kira said. "How many?" 50 volunteers. I was the only one who survived the integration process. The others died screaming." Danny stared at the ceiling, unable to meet their eyes. "The nanites are dormant most of the time. They activate when I take serious damage. They repair me, but they use whatever material is available. Metal, plastic, ceramic. They do not care what it is. They just build, and the military let you go." Borash asked. "The program was classified. When the war ended, they did not know what to do with me. So they discharged me, told me to disappear, and buried the records." Danny finally looked at the captain. "I have been running ever since. If certain people find out I am still alive, they will come for me. Not to kill me, to harvest me. My nanites are worth more than this ship." Borash's tusks twitched. Among Grell, that meant he was thinking hard. "You brought danger to my crew," he said. "I know. I am sorry. Sorry does not protect my people." Kira stepped forward. He saved Pip. The ceiling would have crushed her if he had not pushed her clear. He took the injury meant for our medic. Pip nodded rapidly, her ears flattening with emotion. "This is true. Danny Rowe protected me. I owe him my life." Borash considered this. His eyes moved from Danny to Pip to Kira and back again. "Can you control it?" he asked. "The upgrading?" Danny shook his head. "The nanites decide what to integrate and how. I cannot choose. I cannot stop it once it starts. All I can do is survive it. Does it hurt?" Every time. Another long silence. Danny waited for the verdict. He had been thrown off ships before, left on stations, abandoned in ports. He was used to it. "You work hard," Borash said finally. "You do not complain. You took a dangerous job today without argument, and you protected a member of my crew." His massive hand rested on the medical table, close to Danny's arm, but not quite touching. I do not sell my people, not even the dangerous ones. Danny felt something loosen in his chest, something he had been holding tight for years. Thank you, he managed. Do not thank me yet. Borash turned toward the door. If hunters come for you, we may all die, but we die together. That is how the Driftclaw works. He left without another word. Kira remained, studying Danny with her compound eyes. You should have told us, she said. Would you have hired me if I had? She did not answer. They both knew the truth. The door slid open again. A young woman stepped in, short brown hair messy from sleep, uniform wrinkled. Varn was the ship's communications officer and the only other human aboard. She had been friendly to Danny since his first day, though they had never talked much beyond work. I heard there was an accident, she said, then stopped when she saw Danny's leg. Oh God, what happened to your skin? Danny looked down. The metal traces were visible now, faint silver lines running just beneath the surface of his flesh. His leg looked almost normal, but not quite. Not anymore. Long story, he said. Before Varn could ask more questions, the ship's alarm screamed to life. Kira's mandibles clicked sharply. Contact. 3 ships. Unknown configuration. She was already moving toward the door. They are heading directly for us. Danny swung his legs off the table. His left leg held his weight perfectly. Better than perfectly. The hunters had found him. 3 dots of light crawled across the navigation screen like predators circling wounded prey. Danny stood in the Driftclaw's small bridge, watching those dots grow closer. His leg felt strange beneath him. Stronger than before, but different. He could feel the metal woven through his bone whenever he shifted his weight. Raider configuration, Kira reported from her station. But the weapons are wrong. Military grade. These are not ordinary pirates. Borash sat in the captain's chair, his thick fingers gripping the armrests. Hail them. Kira opened a channel. Static crackled for a moment. Then a face appeared on the main screen. The man was human. That was the first thing Danny noticed. Pale skin, sharp features, gray hair cut short. He wore a black uniform with no insignia, but he held himself like someone used to giving orders. Captain Borash of the Driftclaw, the man said. His voice was calm, almost friendly. My name is Commander Hask. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Borash's tusks twitched. I do not know what you mean. The human. Danny Rowe. Hask smiled, and there was no warmth in it. Former Sergeant Rowe, actually. Subject 12 of Project Ironblood. The only successful integration in the entire program. His eyes seemed to find Danny even through the screen. Hello, Sergeant. It has been a long time. Danny said nothing. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. Here is my offer, Haste continued. Surrender the human, and you and your crew go free. We have no interest in your ship or your cargo. We only want Roe. And if we refuse, Borash asked, then we board you, kill everyone who resists, and take him anyway. The outcome is the same. The only variable is how many of your people die first. Kira's mandibles clicked rapidly. Danny knew that sound. She was calculating odds, running scenarios, looking for angles. The Veloxy mind was built for tactical analysis. 3 ships, she said quietly, for Borash alone. Military weapons. We cannot outgun them. I know, Borash replied. Danny stepped forward. Captain, if I surrender, they will let the crew live. Haste wants me alive. He has no reason to hurt the rest of you. Borash did not turn around. No. Captain, please. I brought this danger to your ship. Let me take it away. Now Borash turned. His small eyes were hard as stone. I told you before, I do not sell my crew, not even when they ask me to. He stood, his massive frame casting a shadow across the bridge. Kira, get us into the debris field. Deep. Take us where their ships cannot follow. The debris field is unstable, Kira said. Shifting wreckage. Collapsed structures. We could be crushed. We know salvage. We know wrecks. They do not. Borash looked at Hask's face, still waiting on the screen. In transmission. The screen went dark. They will follow us, Kira warned. Let them. Their ships are built for open combat. Ours is built for crawling through dead things. Borash moved toward the door. Danny, Varn, get to the engine room. If we take damage, I need you ready to repair it. Danny hesitated. Captain, I still think this is wrong. You think sacrificing yourself is right. I think I'm not worth dying for. Borosh stopped in the doorway. When he spoke, his voice was low. Pip is alive because of you. The converter assembly you retrieved will keep our life support running for another year. You fixed the water recycler last month when nobody else could figure out the problem. 3 months, and you have already given more to this ship than people who served for 3 years. He met Danny's eyes. You are worth exactly as much as anyone else on this crew. No more, no less. Now, get to the engine room. He left before Danny could respond. The Driftclaw plunged into the debris field. Massive chunks of wreckage loomed on all sides, the graveyard of a forgotten battle. Kieran navigated with precision, threading the ship through gaps that seemed impossibly narrow. Behind them, the 3 raider ships followed. Danny and Varn ran through the corridors, reaching the engine room just as the first impact shook the deck. Not weapons fire. Debris. Something had scraped against the hull. They're still behind us, Varn said, checking her handheld communicator. Matching our course. Another impact. Harder this time. The lights flickered. One of their ships just hit a wreck, Varn reported. They're slowing down, but the lead ship is still coming. A third impact nearly threw Danny off his feet. Warning lights flashed red across the engine room. Hull breach, the ship's computer announced. Section 12. Engine repair bay. Danny's stomach dropped. Section 12 was exposed to space now, and the repair bay contained critical systems. If those systems failed, the Driftclaw would lose power. I have to go out there, Danny said. Varn grabbed his arm. That section is in vacuum. Your suit could breach. If I do not fix the damage, we all die anyway. He pulled free and ran toward the emergency lockers. A pressure suit hung waiting. Danny climbed into it, sealed the helmet, and moved toward the airlock. Kira's voice crackled through his comm. Danny, what are you doing? My job, he said, and cycled the airlock open. Silence swallowed him whole. Danny floated into the damaged repair bay, his magnetic boots clicking against the deck with each step. The breach was worse than he expected. A jagged hole had torn through the hull, exposing the black void beyond. Stars glittered through the gap like scattered diamonds. Debris tumbled past outside. Pieces of ancient warships, broken and dead for decades. The Driftclaw was threading a needle through a field of knives, and Danny was standing in the wound. Danny, report. Kira's voice crackled through his helmet. Main power coupling is damaged. I can repair it, but I need 10 minutes. You have 5. The lead raider ship is closing. 5 minutes to save everyone. Danny had worked under worse pressure. He pulled his tools from his belt and got to work. The repair was delicate. The power coupling fed energy to the main engines. If he reconnected it wrong, the backflow would fry the entire system. If he did not reconnect it at all, the ship would drift powerless until Haske caught them. His hands moved with practiced speed. Strip the damaged wires. Reroute through the backup channel. Seal the connections. Test the flow. A piece of wreckage spun through the breach, passing close enough that Danny felt the displacement through his suit. He ignored it. Focus was everything. 0.4 minutes. The coupling sparked. Good sign. He tightened the final connection and reached for the activation switch. Something hit him from behind. Danny flew forward, slamming into the far wall. Pain exploded through his right shoulder. He looked down and saw metal jutting from his suit. A shard of debris had punched straight through the fabric, through the armor layer, and into his flesh. His suit began to hiss. Pressure loss. Danny, Varn's voice screamed through the comm. Your vitals just spiked. What happened? Breach. Danny managed through gritted teeth. Suit and shoulder. I am losing air. Get back inside. Now. Cannot. He pushed off the wall, floating back toward the power coupling. His shoulder screamed with every movement, but he could not stop. If I do not finish this, we all die. The shard was still embedded in his flesh. He could feel it grinding against bone when he moved his arm. Blood floated in tiny red spheres inside his helmet, drifting past his eyes. 0.3 minutes. Danny reached the coupling. His right hand barely worked, fingers sluggish and weak. He used his left hand to grip the activation switch. The heat began in his shoulder, but he knew that feeling. The nanites were waking up. No, he whispered. Not now. Not yet. But the Nanites did not listen to him. They never had. They felt the damage, the foreign object, the threat to the host body. They responded the only way they knew how to be upgrading. Danny watched through the blood-streaked visor of his helmet as his shoulder began to glow. Orange light pulsed beneath his torn skin. The metal shard shifted, moved, sank deeper into his flesh. But it was not burrowing. It was integrating. The pain was extraordinary. Danny had felt it before, in his leg, but this was different. The Nanites were working faster, more aggressively. They were pulling material from his suit itself now. He could feel the fabric thinning around the wound as microscopic machines harvested its fibers. 2 minutes. His right arm was changing. He could see it happening through the damaged suit. The muscle beneath his skin was darkening, becoming denser. Silver threads appeared along his forearm, tracing the paths of his veins. His fingers straightened, strengthened, moved with new precision. The air in his suit was almost gone. Danny's vision began to blur at the edges. 1 minute. He flipped the activation switch. The power coupling hummed to life. Energy flowed into the main engines. The drift claw shuddered as thrust returned. Engine power restored. Kira announced over the comm, Danny, get inside. We are accelerating toward the hyperspace beacon. Danny tried to move. His legs felt distant, unconnected to his body. The oxygen deprivation was taking hold. Then his suit sealed itself. He looked down in confusion. The breach in his shoulder had closed. Not with a patch, not with emergency foam. The suit material had fused with his flesh, becoming part of the integrated mass that his arm had become. The Nanites had fixed the suit by making it part of him. Air returned. His vision cleared. Danny took a gasping breath, floating alone in the ruined repair bay as the stars wheeled past the hull breach. Danny, Varn's voice came again. Your vitals are stabilizing. What's happening in there? He looked at his right arm. It was not the arm he had woken up with this morning. The skin was marbled with silver and dark gray, the muscles visibly denser beneath the surface. When he flexed his fingers, he could feel strength that had not been there before. The suit material ended at his elbow. Below that point, his arm was exposed to vacuum, and it did not matter. The Nanites had sealed his skin, reinforced his flesh, made him something that could survive in the void. I am okay, Danny said, though he was not sure if that was true. I'm coming back inside. He pulled himself toward the inner airlock, his new arm gripping the handholds with terrifying ease. Behind him, through the breach, he could see the lead Raider ship emerging from the debris field. They were not done yet. The Raiders cut through the airlock like it was made of paper. Danny heard the sound from 3 corridors away. Grinding metal, sparking electricity, the unmistakable noise of a boarding assault. Hask's soldiers had latched onto the drift claw, and they were coming inside that he ran toward the breach point, his enhanced leg carrying him faster than before. His right arm felt heavy at his side, dense with integrated metal, but it moved when he needed it to move. Kira's voice crackled through the ship's intercom. All crew to defensive positions. Boarders in Section 4. Danny reached the main corridor junction and found the others already there. Borash held a salvage cutter, the kind used to slice through ship hulls. Pip clutched a medical sedation gun, her small body trembling but determined. Varn had a standard sidearm, her face pale but steady. How many? Danny asked. Scans show 12, Kira reported. She had a plasma torch in her upper hands and an emergency flare in her lower ones. Not weapons, but dangerous enough. They're moving fast. Professional formation. 12 soldiers. For crew members with improvised tools and 1 pistol. Danny looked at his transformed arm. He looked at his captain. Let me hold the corridor, he said. Fall back to the bridge. Seal the doors behind me. Borash's tusks twitched. You cannot fight 12 alone. I do not need to win. I just need to buy time until we reach the hyperspace beacon. Danny stepped forward, placing himself between his crew and the approaching enemies. How long? For minutes, Kira said. 4 minutes. Danny had survived worse odds. He flexed his metal-threaded fingers. Go. Danny, this is foolish, Pip squeaked. You will die. Maybe. He turned to look at the little medic, the one he had saved in the debris field, the one who had watched his bones rebuild themselves. But maybe not. We will find out together. The crew hesitated. Then Borash put his massive hand on Pip's shoulder and guided her back. For minutes, the captain said, "Then we jump, whether you are at the bridge or not." Understood. They retreated. The corridor doors sealed behind them, leaving Danny alone that he did not have to wait long. The first soldier came around the corner to run, weapon raised. Danny moved without thinking. His enhanced arm shot out, grabbed the barrel of the rifle, and crushed it like tin foil. The soldier barely had time to look surprised before Danny's other hand sent him flying into the wall. The second and third soldiers opened fire. Projectiles tore through Danny's chest and abdomen. He felt them hit. He felt the pain, but he did not stop. The nanites were fully awake now, triggered by the cascade of damage. Danny could feel them working beneath his skin, sealing wounds, strengthening tissue, integrating the bullets that had lodged in his flesh. He was not healing. He was upgrading in real time. He crashed into the soldiers like a freight train. His metal-dense arm punched through body armor. His reinforced leg kicked with force that shattered bone. He was not fighting like a human anymore. He was fighting like something else. More soldiers poured into the corridor. They had been warned about him, prepared for him. They carried restraint cables and shock batons designed to disable enhanced targets. But they had expected a wounded man, a tired fugitive, someone weakened by years of running. They had not expected this. Danny tore through them with terrible efficiency. He took hits that would have killed any normal person. Bullets, blades, a shock baton to the spine that made his vision white out for half a second. Each injury made the nanites work harder, made his body stranger, made him less like the man he had been. 3 minutes left that a voice cut through the chaos. Enough. Commander Haske stepped into the corridor, flanked by his last two soldiers. He held no weapon. He did not need one. Look at yourself, Sergeant Rowe. Haske gestured at Danny's torn, bloody, transformed body. This is what you were made for. This is what the program created. You are magnificent. Danny stood among the fallen soldiers, breathing hard. His chest had holes in it. His arm was more metal than flesh now. He could feel the nanites still working, still building, still changing him into something he did not recognize. "I am not your weapon," he said. "You were always our weapon. You just forgot." Haske stepped closer. "Come with me willingly, and I will let your friends live. I give you my word." 2 minutes. Danny's hand found a fallen soldier's knife. He gripped it with fingers that felt like steel cables. "Your word means nothing." He lunged at Haske's soldiers, moved to intercept, but a shot rang out from behind Danny. One soldier fell. Then another. Danny turned. Varn stood at the end of the corridor, pistol raised, face set with determination. "I told you to go to the bridge," Danny said, "and I decided not to listen." She fired again, but Haske had already ducked behind cover. "Move. Now." "We jump in 60 seconds. They ran. The ship shuddered as the hyperspace engines engaged. Danny felt the familiar lurch of dimensional translation, the moment when normal space fell away and something else took its place. Then darkness swallowed everything. When Danny opened his eyes again, he was lying on the medical bay floor. Pip's worried face hovered above him. "You are alive," she breathed. "You should not be alive. The damage you took was catastrophic." "I know." Danny whispered that he was alive. Changed beyond recognition, but alive. And so was his crew. 3 days passed before Danny could walk again. Not because his body needed the time. The nanites had finished their work within hours, sealing wounds, rebuilding tissue, integrating everything they could find. Danny could have stood up the next morning if he had wanted to, but Pip had begged him to rest, and Danny had discovered that he could not refuse the little medic anything as he lay in the medical bay and let his body settle into its new shape. His right arm was different now. The skin had color again, mostly, but silver traces ran through it like rivers on a map. His leg was the same. His chest bore scars that looked more like circuitry than tissue. He was not the man who had boarded the Driftclaw 3 months ago. He was not sure what he was anymore. On the third day, visitors came. Borash arrived first. The captain stood in the doorway, his massive frame blocking the light. and studied Danny with those unblinking eyes. "The raiders are gone," he said. "We jumped 3 times after the first escape. No pursuit. They will find another way," Danny replied. "Probably. But today we are safe." Borash moved closer, lowering himself onto a medical crate that groaned under his weight. "You fought well. Better than well. I have seen Grell warriors with less courage." Danny looked away. "I killed people. You protected your crew. There's a difference." "Is there?" Borash was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached out and placed his huge hand on Danny's shoulder. The touch was surprisingly gentle. "On my world, we have a saying. A warrior who fights for himself is a weapon. A warrior who fights for his family is a shield. You're a shield, Danny Rowe. Never forget that." He left without another word. Pip came next, scurrying in with her 6 limbs carrying an array of scanning devices. She checked Danny's vitals, muttered about impossible readings, and then sat beside him with her large ears drooping. "I have studied your biology for 3 days," she said. "I still do not understand it. The nanites should not work this way. They should not be able to integrate foreign material so cleanly. They should not be able to keep a body functional after so much trauma." "I know," Danny said. "The scientists who made them did not understand either." "Does it frighten you? What you have become?" Danny thought about the question. He thought about the 49 people who had died screaming when their bodies rejected the integration. He thought about the years of running, the fear, the loneliness. "It used to," he admitted. "Now I'm not sure. Maybe I'm more scared of losing the people I care about than of what I am becoming." Pip's ears lifted slightly. "That is a good answer." She left him with a small container of nutritional supplements and strict instructions to actually eat them. Varn arrived in the afternoon. She brought no medical equipment, no philosophical questions. She just sat in the chair beside his bed and looked at him. "You scared me," she said finally, "when you went out to fight them alone. I thought I was going to watch you die. I thought I was going to die too. Then why did you do it?" Danny considered lying. He could have said it was tactical, that he was buying time, that he was protecting assets. All of those things were true, but they were not the whole truth. "Because you're my family now," he said, "and family is worth dying for." Varn's eyes went bright with tears. She did not cry, but it was close. "You are an idiot," she said. "Probably." She punched his shoulder, the normal one, and left before he could see her wipe her eyes. Kira came last, as the ship's lights dimmed for the night cycle. She moved silently, her crystalline body catching the low light in patterns that almost looked like stars. She did not sit. She stood at the foot of his bed and studied him with those compound eyes that saw everything. "Do you regret it?" she asked. Danny knew what she meant. Not the fight, not the injuries. Everything. The experiments. The years of running. The violence that seemed to follow him everywhere that he thought about the dead. The 49 subjects who had not survived. The soldiers he had killed in the corridor. The life he might have had if he had never volunteered for Project Ironblood. Then he thought about Borash, who refused to sell his crew. Pip, who worried about everyone. Varn, who had come back for him when she should have run. Kira, who calculated everything but still asked questions that mattered. "I used to think the nanites made me less human," Danny said slowly. "That every upgrade took something away from who I was. And now I think humans have always been like this. We break. We heal. We become something different." He looked at his silver-traced arm, flexing fingers that could crush steel. "The upgrade is not the metal in my bones. The upgrade is learning that I do not have to carry it alone." Kira's mandibles clicked softly. It might have been approval. "Welcome to the Driftclaw," she said. Properly this time. She left him in the quiet darkness of the medical bay, surrounded by machines that measured vital signs that no longer made sense. Danny smiled and closed his eyes. He was still upgrading. But now he knew what he was upgrading for. A week later, he was back in the cargo bay, welding salvage, sweat dripping down his face. The ship creaked around him. His crewmates moved through their routines. Kira passed by on the catwalk above. "Still upgrading?" she called down. Danny looked up, his metal-traced arm glinting in the work lights. "Always."